Hey guys, gals, mom, buddy, and pals, and all my friends and folks out there. So, let's get ready to get into the next chapter of Sacrifice, a Star Wars fanfic by Lucky_Ducky_123. Before we get into this, of course, don't forget to follow us on our socials, and all those will be linked down below, along with the links to other various videos, including the ones that came before in all of these parts. So if you want to check those out and you're newer to this fanfic reading, then you can. Anyway, other than that, obviously, if you're here, you probably do like Star Wars or trying to get into it, and would probably be interested in checking out my editing project called Stories. So down below, there will be a link to the video, which is What is Stories? Explain what Stories is, duh. And then Stories, the first generation, the first video in all of Stories. I hope you go and check it out, and all the links will be down below, including the links to my fanfics. Let's go. Chapter 5. Jabba's giant anti-gravity sail barge glided slowly across the endless desert surface of the dune sea. Its sand-blasted iron hull creaked in the slight breeze that made the heat only semi-tolerable. Two small skiffs floated into the formation behind the grand ship. One, an escort craft bearing 6 scruffy soldiers. One gun skiff containing the prisoners. I'm gonna just reread that because that did not make sense. Anyway, 2 small skiffs floated into the formation behind the grand ship. One, an escort craft bearing 6 scruffy soldiers, and the other a gun skiff containing the prisoners, Luke, Han, Anakin, and Chewie, all in bonds, of course, and surrounded by armed guards. Bada, Tuiz, and Lando Calrissian, still pulling off the disguise of his. Anakin looked around the barren sea sand and caught the Corellian, Han, doing the same, albeit unsuccessfully, with his temporary blindness, the side effects of carbon freezing. He mainly used his hearing as his dominant senses. I think my eyes are getting better. Instead of a big dark blur, I can see a big light blur, Han said, rather flatly, sounding annoyed. There's nothing. I used to live here, Flashes of his life as a slave returned him, and he held back a grimace at the thought of his mother. Luke's blue eye snapped at surprise once the words left his mouth. You did? Never liked it. Was always glad to get off this dust ball. Why do you look so surprised? I used to live here too. My aunt and uncle raised me. Anakin stared at the boy. His aunt and uncle raised him? Well, newsflash, boys. You're gonna die here, too. Newsflash, boys. You're gonna die here, too. Convenient. Han said sarcastically, casting a knowing look onto Luke's face as best he could. It's glad to know all of you are such optimistic people, Anakin grumbled. Wait, what part of Tatooine are you from? Luke asked curiously, still not dropping the subject. Mos Espa. I lived with my mother. Where we were, Anakin hesitated, catching both Han and Luke's attention instantly. I'd rather not talk about my past if you don't mind. Anakin said stiflingly, focusing his eyes on the sand, avoiding looking at the two men beside him. His childhood had always been a rough subject. Anakin, isn't that your father's name? I vaguely remember the kid saying something like that. Some great Jedi or something, Han pointed out to break the silence, not noticing Luke's shoulders stiffen at the words. Well, Han's gonna point out the obvious. Anakin shrugged nonchalantly, hiding his brief panic at the small question and confusion at Luke's reaction. Small galaxy, Han scoffed. That I sincerely doubt. I love how he says that, like, I doubt that, Luke sighed, deciding he could not question Anakin when they got a better chance to. Heading toward their executions on a scurf probably wasn't the best time for conversation. Just stick close to Chewie and Lando. I've got everything taken care of, Luke said. Oh, great. If this is your big plan, Luke, so far, I'm not crazy about it, Han said with a mock of optimism. Jabba's palace was too well guarded. This will work, Luke said. You've been saying that quite a lot lately, Anakin said with a smirk. Luke turned beet red. Han rolled his eyes. I can hardly wait. That kid and his belief in the Force. If only he had a blaster with him. He's like, Luke's got a belief in the Force, you've got the belief in a blaster, but both of you are Force sensitive. I mean, Han, you're a Force-sensitive pilot. You're not Force-sensitive enough to be a Jedi, but you are a Force-sensitive pilot, and you don't even know. That's what makes this ironic. One of the Weequay guards poked at the four prisoners with his spear, netting a growl from Chewbacca. Enough chit-chat, we're here. Jabba the Hutt rode like a sultan in a massive anti-gravity ship. His entire routine was with him, drinking, eating, and having a good time. Leia was watching her friends in the scurf when the chain attached to her neck was pulled tight and Jabba tugged her scantily clad princess to him. Don't stray too far, my love. Soon you will learn to appreciate me, Jabba said in a seductive sounding Huttese, making Leia grimace as the slime brushed her against her bare back. The Hutt forced her to drink from his glass, and she did so without protest. Closing her mind and knowing it be over soon, her eyes skated back out the slats in the louvered windows, looking through the dusty sunlight to see her friends. Meanwhile, 3PO wandering among the sail barge's aliens, bumping into the smaller droid, serving drinks, spilling them all over the place. The stubby droid let out an angry series of beeps and whistles. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. R2? What are you doing here? 3PO exclaimed, recognizing the familiar tarnished blue and white plating of the astromech. Sorry, I gotta take it. R2 beeped a quick reply, just as surprised as a protocol droid companion. Well, I can see you're serving drinks, but this place is dangerous. They're going to execute Master Luke, and if we're not careful, us too, 3PO warned, lowering his voice. R2 whistled, a singing song response. I wish I had your confidence, 3PO said. The convoy moved up over a huge sand pit. The sail barge stopped to one side of the depression, as did the escort skiff, but the prisoner's skiff moved out directly over the center and hovered at the bottom of the deep cone of sand with a repulsive mucus-lined hole surrounded by thousands of needless sharp teeth. The Sarlacc pit. A plank was extended from the edge of the prisoner's skiff. Guards released Luke's bounds first and shoved him out to the iron plank above the Sarlacc's mouth. Note to self: never remove his bonds. It's not a good idea. They did it. Palpatine did it. See, people get killed when they do this stuff. It's not good. Not good. Jabba and Leia were by the rail, still watching. 3PO leaned forward and the slobbering villain mumbled something for him to translate. As 3PO stepped up to the comm link, Jabba raised his arm, and a motley array of intergalactic pirates fell silent. 3PO's voice was amplified across the loudspeakers. Victims of the almighty Sarlacc, His Excellency hopes that you will die honorably. But should any of you wish to beg for mercy, the great Jabba the Hutt will now listen to your pleas. 3PO announced. Han stepped forward arrogantly, despite Anakin putting out a hand to stop him, and began to speak. 3PO, you tell that slimy piece of... He felt Anakin turn him around to face the proper direction. Han tried not flush with embarrassment, but continued nonetheless. Worm-written filth. He'll get no such pleasure from us, right? Chewie growled in agreement. Luke stood at the edge of the plank, shared a look with Anakin before shouting to the Hutt as well. Jabba, this is your last chance. Free us or die. Lando moved on a buff release. Wow, I don't know how to say this word. Unobtrusively. Oh, there we go. Along the skiff, as Luke shot a quick look of conspiracy to him. Of course he did. It's always a conspiracy with Luke and his plans. I digress, though. Anakin wanted desperately to say something as well to the no-good gangster, but his identity was vital to keep secret for now. There was obviously something about his future that he needed to know. The assembled monsters rocked with mocking laughter as R2 zipped unnoticed up to the ramp to the upper deck. Jabba's laughter subsided as he spoke through the comm link. Move him into position. Jabba made thumbs up gesture. Leia cast a worried look down at the sky. R2 appeared from below and zipped over to the rail facing the pit. Below in the skiff, Luke was prodded by a guard to the edge of the plank over the gaping Sarlacc. Luke looked up at R2, then gave a jaunty salute. The signal the little droid had been waiting for. A flap opened in R2's domed head, and Anakin immediately recognized the tactic. He and Obi-Wan had used the same trick against Grievous back on the invisible hand. Like father, like son, I suppose, Anakin thought with a smile. Aww, such a moment for these two. I'm gonna try and find a good place to stop, just because we're like at 15 minutes right now. Okay, the next good place to stop will not. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm leaving you all on a cliffhanger. I don't want to make this too long, like, ever. Like I always do, makes the editing process easier too. Keeps your entertainment and your focus, your concentration better kept on the story so then you don't miss anything. So otherwise than that, don't forget to go and check all the links down below, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this reading of Sacrifice, and I'll see you. Peace.